Okay, there's a message on my screen saying the stream is live, so I'm assuming that that is indeed true and we are live. Noswaith dda pawb, good evening, and croeso. Welcome to this online launch of our cooperative vision for Wales. Thank you all very much for joining. We are in a StreamYard, I believe the technology is called, which is new territory for me, but hopefully we are coming through loud and clear to everyone and everyone can hear us. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday evening for this launch of this document that we've put together, and for a little bit of a chat about co-op politics in Wales ahead of really important elections next year. And we've got a really exciting lineup of speakers to speak to that topic tonight, and I will be introducing them as we go. I should introduce myself first. My name is Caitlin. I'm head of politics here at the Co-operative Party. Because we are talking about Wales, I'm hoping that my accent is ever so slightly stronger than it normally is. But I am Welsh. I have some legitimacy here. I'm from Pontypool originally, and really proud and excited to be chatting about my beloved home country tonight. So everyone on this call, Co-op Party members in Wales will know just how important those elections are for the Senedd next year. Absolutely vital. And we think that our values and ideas have a really important role to play. And we're going to chat a little bit about why. And we're going to hear from some of our supported candidates for the Senedd as well, who are going to share a little bit of their story with the co-op movement and with co-op values. And I'll talk a little bit more about this document that we're publishing as well, and what's in it and why we've done it. But first, I want to introduce a very special guest, someone who has a hugely busy diary that will only get busier, I'm sure, over the next 6 months, but is here to chat to us and to kick us off really this evening. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce the First Minister of Wales, Eluned Morgan. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll hand over to you.
Well, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much. And noswaith dda, good evening. And it's really great to be here with you all. And some of you might be surprised to hear that, guess what? I only officially joined the Co-operative Party this year at Labour Party conference in Liverpool. And I'm still not entirely sure why it took me so long. But I guess the truth is I've always supported the values of the movement, of fairness, of cooperation, and of people putting people and communities first. So for me, joining the Co-operative Party felt like a homecoming to a movement whose values I've always absolutely believed in. And I think it does make a difference to belong to a movement that's consistently worked to put power, to put ownership, and to put dignity into the hands of ordinary people. That's who we are as a movement. And the cooperative movement, I think, is one of the most successful, resilient, and transformative social movements in our nation's history. And it's great to have you chairing tonight, Caitlin. You can come home to Wales whenever you fancy. There's always a welcome and a place for you here. So alongside our proud trade unions, I think the cooperative movement has stood for generations as a powerful engine for change for working class people. I think it's shaped our values, our politics, our communities here in Wales. But tonight, what I want to do is to celebrate that legacy and the work that each of you continues to do to keep that movement alive and those values alive. Because I think Wales actually is standing now at a real turning point in our economy, in our politics, in our communities. And leading you into this election, what I see as a transformative opportunity to create good jobs, to boost well-being, to invest in the future industries and in clean energy, in AI, in advanced manufacturing, life sciences, creative industries. All of these things are the engines of growth, the things that are going to transform the life chances of our people. I think this is our chance to do more than just manage decline. I think there's a real sense of hopelessness in our communities. I think there's a chance now to shape a Wales that is prosperous, that's ambitious and full of possibility for everyone. And if you think about the story of devolution, the beginning, the first chapter was about really establishing devolution. Nobody, you think about, we established it with just a fraction of people voting for it, just over 6,000 people. That's how we got in. So establishing it as the place where we should be making decisions was really important. And of course, Roger Morgan was instrumental in doing that. And then after that, what happened, and that was that actually, and don't forget, that was under a Labour government. And then what we've had is 14 years of a Tory government, of austerity, of actually trying to protect what we'd established. And that's really difficult when actually your ambitions are greater than that. But defending our communities from the worst of that Tory austerity was actually a really challenging time. But what we've got now is an end of austerity. We're starting a new chapter with a new generation of politicians coming in. And I think it's really important that what we do is look to the future with hope and with an inspiring message. I want to create a community that's prosperous, that's sustainable, and that's fair. And I think this election has got to feel like the start of a new era, a moment of possibility, a moment people don't want to risk losing. And there's a lot at stake. Don't forget the things that people just take for granted in their lives in Wales today. They may not be there tomorrow if others get in. You just think of things like free prescriptions. They don't have that in England. People just think it's there. It's there because we've made a political decision to put it there, and it's a political decision to keep it there. You're not going to get that assurance from any of the other parties. The same thing is true for things like free school meals. It's very interesting, isn't it, that UK Labour is following us now on so many areas. So they've just introduced free school breakfasts, which is great. But we've been doing that for 21 years. We're miles ahead on some of these things because actually we know that if you want people to succeed, you need to give them a good education. They're not going to get that if they're sitting in a classroom and they're hungry. So after 25 years of devolution, what we have here is a reputation for stability, for partnership, for long-term planning, and it makes a difference. You just look at our trains today. We've invested £800 million in our Welsh trains, most of them made here in Wales. That you can't switch on overnight. It takes a long time to get that pipeline moving. We've invested in skills. We have 100,000 apprenticeships just this Senedd term. We've supported communities and we've nurtured a workforce who are ready to meet the challenges and opportunities of the future. And we just hosted the investment summit in Wales. And what we've got is investors ready to invest now. They're looking at us and saying, my God, they're only starting to talk about apprenticeships in England on the scale that we're doing in Wales. We've delivered it and we're going to keep delivering it. So we've set the foundations for significant job creation. And that progress hasn't happened by accident. It's happened because of the values we share. You in the cooperative movement, we in the cooperative movement, I can say now, those values of fairness, of solidarity, and a belief in a collective endeavour. So with a Welsh Labour government and a strong cooperative Senedd group, I think we've already shown what those values look like in practice. We've grown the number of employee-owned cooperatives significantly. We've supported housing cooperatives. We've backed community energy projects and we've invested in community pride. We've shown that cooperative ideas are not just theoretical, they actually work. And yet, as proud as we are of these achievements, we know there's more to do. So I think your manifesto, which you're launching tonight, and thank you for all the work and effort you've put into that, I think that sets out a compelling cooperative vision for our country. A Wales where people have real ownership over their work, their services, and their future. But I think that vision will only become reality if we work together to put Welsh Labour back into government in May. Because Welsh Labour has always been guided by one core belief, and that's fairness. Fairness people can feel in their pay, in their homes, in their healthcare, in their everyday experience in their communities. And we shouldn't forget that what devolution has allowed us to protect And that is a more humane, a collective spirit in public life. I believe that government should absolutely be active and on the side of its people. But I think we've got to also be honest, because for many, many people in our communities, life feels really hard. Bills are rising, public services are stretched, town centres are struggling. Too many young people feel forced to leave Wales to get a good start in life. So we train them up, but because the jobs and the investment haven't been here, they have to leave. I think political forces exist now in Wales who want to amplify that frustration. Reform, I think, channels anger. Plaid Cymru tries to present itself as a party of hope, but actually, in reality, they're not very practical. So Welsh Labour must show, I think, clearly that we understand people's frustration, that our vision is more credible, more ambitious, and more achievable in terms of setting out a pathway for the future. And our vision for Wales is built on 4 pillars that are going to guide every decision we make. First of all, security. With a stronger local NHS, quicker access to care, real mental health support, fair work, and safer streets, and communities people can trust. And then we've got opportunity, delivering more and better jobs, 100,000 apprenticeships delivered, investment in digital, green and technical skills, and a Wales where young people can build their future without ever leaving the communities that they love. And then we've got community. So we need to revive our town centres, and we've already got started on that, investing more than £100 million into our town centres. We want to see thriving local businesses and cooperative businesses. We want to see shared spaces, reliable public spaces, support for our culture and language, and decision-making rooted in local voices and in community voices and in cooperative voices. Modernity, leading in clean energy, semiconductors, advanced manufacturing, AI, life sciences, and our world-class creative industries, whilst making smarter use of data and digital tools to drive improvements in our public services as well as the rest of society. I'm determined for us to be modern, look to the future. We've got to come out of a post-industrial world that has been difficult, but we've got to transition now into a much more modern world that moves much quicker. So I think together these pillars form a simple but powerful test for every decision we make. Does it make Wales fairer, safer, and more hopeful? And I think this brings me back to the heart of our movement. Cooperative values have never been more important. At a time when political forces across the UK are trying to divide us, to set neighbour against neighbour, community against community, the imperative to cooperate, to come together through shared experience, through shared space, through shared ownership, I don't think has ever been stronger. And that's the reason why the Labour Party and the Cooperative Party have stood together for so many years. It's because our values are shared, our history is entwined, our vision for the future is aligned. We both believe in an economy that works for people, not the other way around. We both believe in power that's distributed, not hoarded. And we both believe that the greatest progress comes from collective endeavour. So I think the most exciting part of Wales' story is only just beginning. I just feel like I'm absolutely now got a grip on what needs to happen in our country. And I think with your passion, your organising, your commitment to cooperation and to fairness, we can make sure that this new era belongs to the people of Wales. So diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd. I hope we can go forward together and we can look to the future. And I'd like to thank you for everything you've done for us in the past and everything that I hope you'll be able to do for us when we enter into this real important election period where we absolutely need to make sure that we are leading the government in the next Senedd. It's going to be tough. We're used to winning in Wales. This is going to be the toughest election in generations, but I genuinely believe that our values will hold us and take us through this. So diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd, and thank you so much. And obviously we will take a very, very close look at what you're suggesting in your manifesto. Diolch.
Diolch, Eluned. Thank you so much. I tell you what, I really hope my mum and dad are not watching the First Minister tell me there that there's a welcome for me back at home, because they'll be sending me housing listings for Pontypool in no time. But and it's so wonderful to have Eluned as a member, and you've heard there what a fantastic champion and custodian she is of devolution in Wales and of Welsh Labour's record, and long may it continue. Thank you so much. So we're going to talk very, very briefly. I don't want to talk for too long because we've got some brilliant candidates that I want to hear from. But very briefly, I just want to talk about this document that we're launching today. And if it hasn't been emailed to members already, then it will be very shortly. So this is our cooperative vision for Wales, and Eluned touched on it there. Really, it's about celebrating our record as well as looking forward into the future. So as Eluned mentioned, there is a really strong record of growth in mutuals and employee-owned businesses in Wales, really strong community-owned energy, contributing to the green transition in Wales, and really good campaigning on cooperative housing from our brilliant Senedd group. So a huge amount, and those are just 3 examples, a huge amount for us to build on. But we also think there's more to do as well. Those people that have watched Co-op Party live streams from this office before will know that something we talk about with the UK government is their commitment to double the size of our sector. We want, to have the same ambition for Wales. We want to see as many of these resilient, long-lasting businesses owned by members, not by shareholders, popping up in Wales as possible. And we want a community right to buy for Wales, as is being pursued in Westminster at the moment. We want communities in Wales to have the best possible chance to buy the assets, buy and own and run the assets that they care the most about. And on that note, I mean, isn't it wonderful to hear Eluned say that community is one of the pillars of Welsh Labour's campaign, and one of the pillars that Welsh Labour will be campaigning on as it goes out to the country in May. I think there's Mike Hedges, who's our Senedd group chair, has written a foreword for this document that talks about the forces of division that we know exist that want to pull our communities apart. And I think those voices are going to be really quite loud in the run up to this election. We believe in strong, united communities. We believe in working together. We believe in focusing on the things we have in common. We believe in cooperation, collective endeavour, all of these things that Eluned's talked about. And those values are more important now than ever in Wales and across the rest of the United Kingdom. So this is a document that sets all of that out. It's got I want people to read it, so I'm not going to give you too many spoilers, but it's got plenty of really focused policy ideas for those that are interested in different areas across co-op economy, housing, health, social care, children and families, energy, and more. I'm talking off the top of my head, but there's plenty of ideas in there. And most importantly, I think what it talks about is values, principles, co-op politics. What do those look like, and why are they important for Wales at this moment in time? So please do have a read of it if you've not done so already, and that will sort of set the tone for our campaigning in Wales going forward. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So without further ado, I want to get into hearing from our candidates. We've got 3 brilliant candidates that have given up their time tonight to chat to you about their campaign, what it means to be Labour and cooperative, and the sort of the fight ahead in May to hopefully inspire us to do our bit. So the first candidate I'm going to introduce is someone that I sat next to at a dinner very recently and sort of was yapping away about all sorts until I realised that I was sitting next to one of our brilliant candidates, and then we talked at length about his campaign, how it's going, his journey with the co-op movement, someone that is involved with our equalities networks as well, and has a really strong co-op record. So I'm going to hand over to him, Mahbub Basha, who is the Welsh Labour candidate for Brycheiniog Tawenydd. I'm talking like I don't speak Welsh. I do speak Welsh. Brycheiniog Tawenydd. That was better. So I will hand over to you. I really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
And thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, dear Marian. And thank you for the opportunity for the cooperative colleagues for putting me on this one. And also, well, we have our leader, First Minister, who spoke. She has given the clear blueprint of what we are going to do. It is a real honor to be in this room tonight. I'm proud to be a member of the both Welsh Labour as well as the Cooperative Party. Eleanor Cheshire joined the Labour Party just a year ago. Sadly, I've been in the Labour Party as well as cooperative in the Cooperative Party over the 20 years. So that's me. So it's be very proud I've been a Cooperative Party. For me, the partnership is not the political convenience. It's the reflection of whom I am and where I come from. And I come from the global majority background. And I want to say this clearly tonight. Our communities are not on the edges of the society. We are a part of the fabric of it. Our roots are deep, our contribution is real, and those who try to divide us will fail because cohesion, cooperation, and solidarity run deeper than fear. For me, the cooperative movement is one of the greatest social movements this country has ever known. And alongside our trade unions, it has always been a force for working people, built on the shared ownership, shared responsibility, and shared dignity. Those values are not new to many of us. I am from a particular faith. In my faith, we believe, we follow our prophets, what he has been said, peace be upon him. He taught and practiced something deeply cooperative over 1400 years ago, that every individual has responsibility to the community, that you care for your neighbors. And he specifically mentioned, when he mentioned about neighbors, is not your neighbors on just one on the right on left. He mentioned very clearly that you look after 40 houses on your right side, 40 on your left side, and 40 on your front side, and 40 on your back side. That is the cooperative message he left. Not only that, he shared very clearly that we share our food, protect the vulnerables, care for the elders, nurturing the children, and standing together. That is the cooperation. That is the equality. That is the solidarity in action. In Wales, we have heard from the First Minister, we have witnessed what happens when a labor and cooperative values are put into the government. Over the last 2 decades of Welsh Labour leadership, we built a world-class NHS, we hear from the First Minister, free at the point when people need. In England, it's not. Social care that puts dignity first. Education that prepares young people for the modern world. We are proud. We already deliver 100,000 youth ready for the industry to come and take us, including the future of AI, a growing employee-owned business, housing cooperative, community, land trust, a community-owned energy companies, and stronger pride in place. This all didn't happen by accident. It happened because Welsh Labour choose a cooperation over competition. Let me put this simple. First Minister explained that 14-year austerity. As academia, I always put the things in a very perspective. If someone lose 14 years of their teenage life and suddenly then receive that support, it takes time to recover, to rebuild, to find the direction to again. That is exactly what happened to Wales. The first 10 years of devolution, we are about learning and building a vision. Rotary Morgan had the vision. Then came 14 years of Tory at Westminster, holding the Wales back, draining the investment, stalling the progress. Sometimes even our text message, phone calls blocked in the Downing Street. That was a scenario mentioned by the Mark Refford. As our Welsh Labour leader said in the last week, when she was sharing the platform with the Prime Minister, now the first time in the generation, I quote, we have two Labour government at both the end of M4 working together. That's not coincident. That's opportunity. And we must not waste this opportunity. Yes, as First Minister mentioned, The election is not about dividing the people. It is not about the blaming the migrants, refugees, or communities. That kind of politics Welsh Labour or Cooperative Party doesn't do. Those who crashed the economy, made the richest even richer, voted against the workers' right, attacked the trade unions, and dragged our country to the chaos of Brexit. Those are the responsible people who are making divide us. They thriving on fear and division. They use the social media to pit our neighbors against neighbor, to confuse, to distract, and divide our young people and our wider community. That is not who we are. We are the Red Wall family. We do things the Welsh way with a patience, perseverance, and resilience. Our fight is simple and moral, to make sure no one lives in poverty in Wales, that no one struggles in the modern Wales, that elders are cared for, that workers are respected, that children inherit a future worth believing in, not just for the next 5 years, but for the next 20 to 50 years. We don't fight this battle from behind the social media screens, which you see. We stand shoulder to shoulder with workers, carers, NHS staff, school children, youth, teachers, the working class, the pensioners. We fight for the bread and butter issue of everyday life in our communities. That is who we are. We should be very proud. This manifesto set out cooperative vision for Wales, but it's not only became a reality if we win the May Senate election. So my message to the cooperative members in the room and outside the world: be bold, be proud, lift your chin. We are a Welsh Labour. We are the cooperative party of the Welsh. And together, as our leader just mentioned, we will build a fairer, a greener, healthier Wales for today, for tomorrow, and for the generation to come. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch. What a rallying call. We've got to raise our chins and remember who we are. Thank you so much for that. Really, really inspiring, and a good reason to get out in Brycheiniog, in Brecon. Thank you so much. So we're going to move on to another candidate now. We've got Chris Binding with us, who is our Welsh Labour candidate for Pontypridd Cynon Merthyr, so close to my part of the world, and he's going to give us a couple of his thoughts now. Thanks, Chris.
Hi, Caitlin. Thanks. It's good to be with you all this evening. How do you follow Mahaboob? Look, I'm a first-time candidate for the Senedd, and I'm really proud to be a Welsh Labour and Cooperative candidate for Pontypridd Cynon Merthyr. Even though changes to the Senedd electoral system make it unlikely that the Co-op brand will feature on ballot papers, I can assure you that I will continue to be a really proud and vocal champion for our movement. Incidentally, I know that Senedd electoral system will be reviewed before the next set of elections, and I really hope that the Co-op party will once again feature prominently. So I've been a Labour member for over 30 years, more recently a Co-op member, but a Co-op member in the past also, or an active trade unionist. I've served as a councillor in Rhondda Cynon Taf and a shop steward for the GMB. And I'm a community activist, and I volunteer for 3 local charities. The values of the Co-op party, democracy, community, fairness, have been the literal foundation stones of my valley communities. From miners' halls and miners' hospitals to the myriad community groups and even the birth of the NHS itself. Cooperative values run through our communities. Communities that have taken body blow after body blow. We saw mass redundancies after the miners' strike, sell-offs of precious social housing, Tory austerity, and the fallout of Brexit. And our Welsh Labour movement has fought to defend them, and I'm proud of that. But we must always look to what the future could hold if we get it right and if we win. And for too long, the Cooperative Party and the wider Co-op movement has had our light hidden behind a bushel. As Aluned said a little earlier, the Co-op movement is one of the most successful movements in our country's history. And it also has the ability to deliver the radical change that our communities need. I don't need to tell you that according to the 2025 Co-op and Mutual report, the Welsh co-op sector generated £500 million in income, supported 500 co-ops, and boasts over 300,000 members. It's thanks to our Welsh Labour government and to the commitment of Eluned and our former First Minister Vaughan Gethin that Wales leads the UK in the growth of new co-ops, with 2.6 new co-ops created for every 100,000 people. I'm really proud that Merthyr Tydfil is home to Wales's first tenant and employee mutual housing association, Merthyr Valleys Homes. But we know co-ops and mutuals don't have to be as big to make a big impact. These are the practical steps we can take. And I'm really proud to have been involved with the establishment of a much smaller co-op that had a big impact for residents. The picturesque village of Pontstickil in Merthyr Tydfil sits in the beautiful Brecon Beacons. Residents don't have access to mains gas, but instead rely on domestic heating oil. Several years ago, the rising cost of oil became a real issue for residents, with no formal way to reduce costs. It was cooperative solutions that came to the rescue. Residents joined together to establish an oil buying club. They identified a supplier, coordinated deliveries, and drove down the price of oil by over 10 pence per litre. Better for residents and better for the environment. Today's launch of the Cooperative Vision for Wales is a real opportunity to harness the power of two Labour governments working together for Wales. Two teams of like-minded people pulling together to make life better for people right here in Wales. Whilst Labour's manifesto isn't ready just yet, there's never been a more important time to have radical policies that speak to our communities. And Caitlin mentioned, and I'm really proud to see, that the Co-op Vision for Wales calls for a community right to buy, something that exists in other parts of the UK and hopefully after the election here in Wales too. Supporting our volunteers to retain those essential community assets will help keep our towns and villages vibrant and robust. So too were recommendations such as expanding community-owned energy, something I know the Welsh Government is working really hard to achieve. And important to me is cooperative housing, something I campaigned on during the recent selection. And I think we have yet to scratch the surface of its potential for our communities. But everything we've achieved and everything we can achieve is at risk in May if Nigel Farage's Reform Party get a grip on power. Do we really believe Nigel Farage has a cooperative bone in his body? This is the same man who praised Margaret Thatcher and Vladimir Putin, not two people well known for their cooperative beliefs. The only way that we can get co-op policies enacted by the Welsh Government is to elect Labour and cooperative candidates to our Senate. We all know the words that by the strength of our common endeavour, we achieve more than we achieve alone. Never have these words been more true, and never have they been more important. I look forward to campaigning alongside each and every one of you for the cooperative future we know Wales deserves. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you so much, Chris, for that. Couldn't agree more, particularly what you said at the end there about who embodies co-op values and who doesn't. I think it's very clear to see from what other parties put out versus what the Labour Party puts out, who's really on the side of our communities. And maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But I want to introduce our final, well, not our final speaker, but our final sort of candidate voice, I suppose, although the final speaker is also a candidate, I guess. But we've got Dawn McGuinness joining us, who is the Welsh Labour candidate for Gwynedd Maldwyn, who is going to speak to us about her campaign. So I'll hand over to Dawn. Diolch.
Diolch yn fawr, Caitlin. And I've realised I need to be a little more professional and get myself a posh background instead of everyone looking at Glyn, my Christmas gonk here. So anyway, noswaith dda chi gyd, a diolch am y gwahoddiad I siarad heno. Thank you for the invitation to speak. It's an honour and a pleasure to be part of the launch event for the Cooperative Vision for Wales. If you've read it, I'm sure you, like me, have found the report to be both exciting and inspiring, and a fantastic blueprint for the sort of Wales we all want to see. As you'll know, due to the changes in the electoral system in Wales, we cannot stand on a joint Labour and cooperative ticket. But like Chris just said, I hope that will be reviewed ahead of the next election. But for now, we will need to use our platform through Welsh Labour to communicate this vision to the Welsh electorate. And let's be honest, current polling is depressing. When you speak to the electorate with regards to their voting intentions and why they're choosing to vote in a certain way, I think what is clear is that people want two things. They are desperate for change and for hope. The Labour landslide in the 2024 general election was a consequence of that. It was a vote to get rid of the Tories. And, of course, in Wales, we managed to rid ourselves of every single Tory MP, which is certainly a cause for celebration. However, people haven't seen that change they voted for materialise under the current UK government. I realise we will know that good work is happening and things are moving in the right direction, but for ordinary people, it's not only not quick enough, but it's not radical enough. And as Labour has been in government in Wales since 1999, the Welsh electorate are now turning that desire for change on Welsh Labour. So we need to offer radical solutions to the issues our citizens face. Tinkering around the edges isn't good enough. We need to be bold and we need to be ambitious. But most of all, we need to offer people a stake in their own futures. Cooperatives do exactly that. I'm standing in Gwynedd Maldwyn, which includes Newtown in Powys, home of one of our greatest Welshmen, Robert Owen, whose vision for a fairer society still inspires almost 2.5 centuries since his birth. When I think about what it means to be Welsh, the word that I always come back to is community. I work for Parkinson's UK, covering the whole of Wales in my role, and regardless of what part of Wales I am in, when someone says to me, "Where are you from?" and I say, "Bala," I get a, "Oh, do you know so-and-so?" And then that connection is made. Forget 6 degrees of separation. It's rarely more than 2 in Wales. And when we make a connection with another human, we feel we have a shared interest, a shared affection, and even a shared responsibility for one another. That word community or cymuned is something that speaks to our very DNA here in Wales. That's why I believe when we speak to the electorate during next year's election campaign, we need to have cooperative values front and centre of our message. The values of community, not division. Labour voters who are considering voting for reform are doing so only because they're fed up of the status quo. We need to persuade them otherwise by offering attractive, progressive policies that they can relate to. And the Cooperative's vision for Wales does just that. We need to establish a Welsh community right to buy. I believe it's vital we grant Welsh communities the same rights of ownership as is afforded to residents in the other nations of the United Kingdom. Community ownership gives people a stake in their local economy. A community right to buy can create jobs, reduce the cost of living, improve environmental sustainability, and foster greater social participation. As I said, I work for Parkinson's UK. Much of my work centres on developing our community across Wales. This includes not only those affected by Parkinson's, but also healthcare professionals who support them. I know both sides would welcome not-for-profit social care cooperatives. It's vital that we set up a national care service working hand in hand with our National Health Service. This would help to alleviate the pressures on our NHS, freeing up hospital beds, and would bring down waiting lists. A cooperative model for social care gives both the recipients and the providers of care a stake in their own health and well-being. As we're all aware, the financial cost of heating our homes has skyrocketed, with fuel poverty becoming a normalised phrase in day-to-day life across Wales. Working people are always left to pay the price for our dependency on imported fossil fuels. The Welsh Government must increase its investment in Ynni Cymru, ensuring local communities benefit from cheaper, cleaner energy, creating jobs and providing a security against price increases, which are just at the mercy of market fluctuations driven by world events outside of their control. Currently, Green Gen Cymru, a private limited company, is progressing the Fernwy Frankton project in the Gwynedd Maldwyn constituency, as well as another 2 major projects in Wales. Earlier this year, they received significant investment from Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, a company with its roots in Denmark. We must ensure that when these projects are given the green light, that they adopt the Danish model of mandating 20% community ownership. With a Danish-based company being large investors, they should welcome this stipulation, I think. Giving people a stake in energy generation will not only bring down their costs, but also encourage them to transition more quickly to renewable energy, reducing fuel poverty and protecting our environment for future generations. As a mother of 2 teenagers, one of my concerns for their future is their ability to access affordable housing. Cooperative housing schemes will offer them this opportunity. It's reassuring to see the growing numbers of these schemes across Wales, with several flourishing schemes in the Gwynedd Maldwyn constituency. The Welsh Government can go further to increase cooperative housing by implementing legislation which would encourage more schemes. I would like to see Welsh Labour including such commitments in their manifesto when it is published. It is this sort of positive, people-empowering initiatives that the public want to see in Wales. The cooperative and labour movements are natural political allies. Both traditions find their roots in the pioneering vision of Robert Owen, whether through the means of collective bargaining or collective ownership. The working classes are strongest when they move in unison. Personally, I've always seen the trade union movement as reactive, where I see the cooperative movement as being proactive, which is what we need to be to ensure we get as many Welsh Labour, and of course, underneath that, as many cooperative candidates elected as possible. The people of Wales need a proactive, progressive government that will empower them to be the masters of their own destiny. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Dawn. Thank you so much for that. Real sort of interesting run through of all of our sort of key areas in Wales and the things that we're going to be campaigning on and that we want to see in Welsh Labour's manifesto and the Welsh Government take forward. So really, really appreciate that. I'm going to go to our final speaker, someone who's a long-standing friend of the co-op movement, someone we've worked with over many, many years, who I hope is going to give a sort of rallying cry to members on this call about what's at stake in May and the message they should be taking back into their communities. And then it'll be back to me to wrap us up and talk a little bit about next steps. So before I do that, if he's here, I would love to hand over to Hugh Aranka-Davies, the Deputy First Minister for Wales. Yeah.
Caitlin, noswaith dda pawb, good evening everyone. It's lovely to be here with you at this launch of the Co-operative Vision for Wales manifesto, and what a timely intervention this is in the manifesto development. Some of you will know that I and others are involved in the development now of Welsh Labour's manifesto for the 2026 elections. They're going to be massive elections, so important for the future of Wales and the type of communities that we represent, the type of values that we take into action going forward. But there's a lot of jeopardy as well, as previous speakers have said. We could lose all the progress that we've made, or we can go forward into the next chapter as well. And I want to talk on that. But Caitlin, first of all, thank you for the invitation and how good it is to follow on from such good speakers and not only Welsh Labour, but cooperative candidates as well in Luned, our First Minister, in Mambwd, Basha, Chris Binding, Dawn McGuinness as well. And what's been really inspiring about the last few years of the cooperative movement here in Wales is the more and more members, not only of the Senedd, but councillors and others who've joined the cooperative movement. For my own part, I began before I was an elected representative in the Parliament, first of all, and then in the Senate. My background was when I was working in a very different life, but also as a community activist, when I was working, volunteering, then in my spare time, as part of a development trust in the Swansea Valley. And that development trust did innovative, practical things that are very much in the cooperative movement tradition. So actually managing to get hold of properties and then as volunteers working together to make those properties work for the community in a number of ways, either as housing or residences or businesses or even cooperative childcare model. Still going, by the way, as well, all these years later. So that's about 30 years later, still going. So that's how I got into cooperative ideas, cooperative concepts, and then putting them into action. And I think the same story goes for a lot of people who are very committed to the cooperative movement and to the cooperative party. It's because they come from that grassroots approach of actually delivering for communities, very, very much as Dawn was just saying. Now, I've been proudly a Welsh Labour and cooperative Member of Parliament. I was in Westminster for nearly 15 years, and proudly wearing that emblem of Welsh Labour and cooperative as a Member of Parliament and as a Minister in the UK government. I'm proudly wearing that same moniker now as I'm a Welsh Labour and cooperative Senate member and Cabinet Secretary as well. And that absolutely is instilled in my politics, those two things working hand in hand. So I've taken those ideals that I had as a grassroots activist and have turned them into what I do as an elected representative. And we should never forget that, because it's those values into practical actions in government that are the real strength of this movement. The ideas, the radicalism, the drive and energy of cooperative members, turning that into practical policies and legislation in government that makes a tangible difference to people's lives. And I was pleased to do that. We've got a great chair of the Senate group now in Mike Hedges. I was pleased to be Mike's predecessor in a long line of people, including people like Mick Anthony and Jeremy Miles as well, working in and on and with Welsh government, successive Welsh governments, in order to say, let's do more on cooperative ideals and putting them into practical policies. And it's that partnership approach between the Cooperative Party, the Welsh Cooperative Party and the Welsh Labour Party that will deliver the next chapters going forward as well. Even with the challenge that we face ahead, that bold radicalism within our policy offers is exactly what we are now looking for as we develop our manifesto going forward. And it is a contrast, by the way, as we've heard from speakers tonight. There is a real mood of division and discord and discontent out there at the moment. There are doommongers who are absolutely intent on talking this great nation of ours down, talking our communities down, talking our values down, saying there cannot be progress. Things are too hard. We have to just consolidate and go backwards. Well, we have to be the antidote to that in the cooperative movement and in Welsh Labour as well. Because what we've built our values on is the idea of fairness of opportunity, fairness in shares of wealth and prosperity, fairness within our community so everybody has the same bite at the apple, so that we help each other out. Now that goes deep into our DNA, but the jeopardy is high at the moment and we could go backwards. So we have to put that case with confidence and firmly that we believe in that fairness, and then put forward the ideas that will deliver it for the next chapter, the next generation, that will make a difference to people's lives. Now, that's what the Cooperative Party is all about. Fundamentally, deep down, it's about people and communities feeling those benefits every day, having a fair share in the benefits of society, in the health and the wealth and the well-being, having that fair share. And we can deliver that, and we have delivered that through successive Welsh Labour governments. In those successive Welsh Labour governments, the cooperative movement in Wales has been right at the heart of those governments. And it's been more than simply in people being elected. And we know we have to elect more Welsh Labour and cooperative members into it. It's been more than that. It's because we've had ministers who are actually cooperative members as well, putting those ideas into practice, taking forward the policy. Look at the things that we've achieved over recent years. And look how, if we had not had that government working on behalf of cooperative ideals, we would not have achieved this. Doubling the cooperative economy, that is a significant achievement. We cannot take it for granted. It's great to see the UK government committing to that in England as well now, but we were there, we've done that. Where do we actually go next? Supporting community housing. We've had some good interventions in this area. My good friend Mike Hedges has talked repeatedly and constantly about the need to do more, and you know he's right. So what are those ideas in this manifesto that will allow us to write the next chapter on community housing and cooperative housing? How do we grow more of genuinely community-owned energy projects where there is that fair share for those communities who are taking forward those projects in their local areas and they can buy into it? That's the excitement of the next chapter, but we only get to do it if we can actually elect a government that has those principles and ideas right at its very heart. We can't take this for granted. We need actually to vote for that future. That's what it's all about in our democracy, voting into action the people who will take these ideas forward. So the question is today, what next? And it is a real big question for us now, because we cannot take anything for granted anymore. We now do face challenges. And there is a challenge that we could go backwards. We could regress very deeply. We could go into that politics of division and discord. The advances that we have now seen and that we have taken for granted over recent years in the cooperative movement could be thrown aside. And we have to realize that. That is the condition of our jeopardy at the moment. But we could do more. We could go forward with community right to buy. We could have more employee-owned businesses. We could have more support and do more with community energy projects. We could do more with health and in social care. We could do more on community transport, on education, and how you embed cooperative ideas within the education system at all levels, at all ages. What we can do with food and community growing and local food networks, building on the work that we were already doing with the community food strategy in Welsh Government, and so much more. Now, this is an exciting time, but the risk is very high. And that's why we do need candidates like Mahmood, like Chris, like Dawn, and many others actually elected, so we can take forward these ideas with confidence. What we're doing now, in effect, Caitlin, is we are shaping the next chapter of the Cooperative Party, shaping the next chapter of Welsh Labour and cooperative members in government to take forward those bold, exciting manifesto offers. And we should remind ourselves why this is such an important moment in time. This is a new chapter. If we look back over the period of devolution, there have been two significant chapters. One has been those early years of Rhodri Morgan and all the people who were there building the foundations of devolution. It was hard won, by the way, devolution, but we had it and he built those foundations, but the powers were very limited. You couldn't do your own primary lawmaking and legislation. There was no tax variant powers or anything like it. That was building the foundations. Under Carwyn, he had the opportunity to take that forward, but then was faced with a divisive Conservative government that preached the gospel of austerity. So we spent a lot of our time defending our third sector organisation, our public sector, against the ravages of austerity for those 14 years. This is a new chapter, a new opportunity. It's one where we can actually grow our ideas, grow our actions, put them into practice, grow the cooperative economy, grow the cooperative models right across our policy landscape. But to do that, we actually need to be there in the pole position within government. This is a moment we have been building forwards towards for all over those 25 years. a new moment for investment, for job creation, for changing the models of which we do it. And we want to put our Welsh Labour and Co-op values front and centre of this going forward. Now, politics at the moment is very loud and very divisive. And we see that the world around us is changing very fast, and that there are many voices out there who would want us to tear us backwards in social policy and economic policy and environmental policy and so much more. In that very context, we need to be the ones who hold fast to our values and our principles and work hard to put them into action for the people in our community so that everybody gets that fair share going forward. Everybody gets those opportunities go forward. We can do so much more in this new chapter by working together, by campaigning together, by arguing this case out to people in the public domain, or we can go backwards, and that is the jeopardy. So Caitlin, I'm going to hand this back to you. This is great to be part of this launch of the Co-operative Vision for Wales, but we need to put it into action. And we do that by actually making sure that we can return cooperative and Welsh Labour members so that they can take this into government and deliver for the communities and the people that we care so much about. This is a really exciting launch. Caitlin, back to you. Help us write the next chapter.
Hugh, that is, I think, what I teed you up for, which is a rallying cry there, setting out our legacy and encouraging us to take nothing for granted as we go into these absolutely vital elections. So thank you so much, really important. And I know that will have been heard by members on this call. We are very, very close to wrapping up. I'm not a chair, I'm a chair, not a speaker rather, so I shouldn't get on my soapbox, but I did want to say one very quick thing before we wrap up, which is that we run a campaign here at the Co-op Party called Community Britain, which was launched earlier this year in February. And it was inspired in part by an article that I read coming up to a year ago now. It was about reform councillors in Cwmbran and Pontypool, where I'm from. I think they were some of the first defectors to reform as councillors. And it was about their sort of quite aggressive campaigning in local food banks and local rugby games and community centres. And it gave me a real fright, to be honest, because I saw that the values behind those activities are Labour values, they're co-op values, they're our shared values, and they're the values that we've pursued throughout our shared history. And we launched Community Britain to help try and reclaim those as Labour values in every part of the UK, and that includes in Wales. And all of our speakers tonight have spoken to that, and I know it's front and centre in their minds, in our candidates' minds, and in the Welsh Co-op Party and the Welsh Labour Party's minds as they go into May. Community is a Labour value, it is a co-op value, and I think that is the real thread and theme that's come out of this call. You've heard how passionate every single one of our speakers is about that, and that's what they're going to be pursuing in their own individual campaigns. And just wanted to say a huge amount of luck from me and from our team to everyone that's spoken. Very briefly, some of you will know, and it has been referenced tonight briefly, we are not formally standing joint candidates on ballots in Wales, and as a result are limited in what we can do legally. And I think it's important to say and acknowledge that that's a really frustrating situation, and one that we work very hard to try and prevent. But it is the situation, and that's not going to deter us from making the case for the ideas that you've heard tonight and our values and principles and our co-op politics ahead of these elections. So we have a team here that is working on what that looks like, making sure that we are complying with the law, and we'll be writing to members this week to set out what that will look like and what you can expect to hear from us in Wales. And we'll also be working with our candidates to ensure that they're well tooled to put co-op politics into practice in their own campaigns, regardless of what we're able to do from the centre. So I did just want to acknowledge that, and do look out, if you're interested in what that looks like, do look out for an email from us this week. Finally, just a couple of thank yous. A huge thank you to our candidates, all of our candidates in Wales, but particularly those who have spoken tonight. Really, really appreciate your giving up your time. I know it's such a busy, stressful, anxious time being a candidate, so we really do appreciate it. Huge thank you to Hugh and to Alined, who similarly have incredibly busy schedules and have given up their time tonight to share their passion for the co-op movement. Hugely appreciated. I wanted to say thank you to Hugh Lewis, who is our political officer in Wales. Lots of you will get emails from him and know him for all of his hard work in the run-up to this event and in the run-up to elections more broadly, and to the team that have made sure that this technology has worked smoothly. I think there's not been any hiccups my end, so hopefully it's been a good experience for everyone watching. And finally, just a huge thank you to you all for giving up your Monday evenings to listen to us. I hope you've been a little bit inspired and are ready for the fight ahead. And yes, do please keep an eye on your emails for more information from us on that election in Wales. And that's all I have to say. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very, very much. And enjoy your evenings. Thank you.